Hello and welcome to the regular flange with Intoxicus Gaming. Today we're covering this whole deal with GameStop and them wanting to stay open even though it's all getting, emergency levels of things and government orders to like close everything down that's not essential, and GameStop's trying to be like, "Oh no, we're essential. People need their video games." It's like, "Yeah, we do need our video games to have something to do while people are self-isolating and don't have work or really anything else to do and usually go to work and have work to do during the day." So yeah, people, video games are good for people to play, but it's not an essential service, mostly because digital delivery, and also just mail delivery too. Like they could just mail a bunch of this stuff to people instead of having people come in person to pick it up from the store and be like, "Oh, you just get free shipping. We're mailing everything to everyone." No, you just don't. No one's coming to a store. If there's any pre-orders, they get mailed. Problem solved. But no, GameStop wants to keep open. There's a YouTuber named, what's his name again? I'm just bad with names. Chemlot331. His video's gone around. We're not really going to go over his video, but I will show it, and there will be a link to it in the description in the sources section. But we will be talking a lot about what transpired during that conference call with GameStop local managers and GameStop's more corporate management, which was a very interesting phone call to listen to and take some notes on that I got over here. And yeah, so let's jump into the actual content here. So to start off with, just like I said, I just want to show the video. It's just him talking while the conference call is going on. So, just kind of zip through. But it's really good. I highly recommend. Let's stop it on a better frame. I highly recommend everyone. Okay, that doesn't help. Okay, yeah. Just while we're looking at a frame that's not making him look like a derp, because that's really easy to do. It's so easy to make someone look like a derp just by randomly pausing and catching a moment of their facial expression. Anyways, we're getting off topic. We should get back on track. Anyways, Camelot331, great video. He does a lot of this kind of stuff. If we just go look at his page, like there's a lot of stuff he does where he's just like calling GameStop out for doing wacky stuff and other companies. So if we actually go to his videos section, yeah, he does lots of interesting stuff like this, calling corporate people out for being all sorts of ridiculous. And this whole GameStop conference call he recorded is a really crazy one. Like listening to it is just like, man, Reggie, like if I was Reggie, obviously I'm not Reggie, and it's not like what should Reggie do in this position, but it's if I were Reggie and I were in that position, I'd be seriously considering quitting GameStop and being like, okay, no, I don't even want to be associated with these assholes. Like, and I wouldn't be surprised either if all of a sudden, in not too soon, Reggie announces he's not doing GameStop. I can't say for sure. I'm just going to say I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened. Is Reggie Fils-Aime, who just joined GameStop, doesn't officially start until April, I believe. So he's not actually involved with any of this directly. Thankfully, he doesn't have to have his own personal reputation marred by what GameStop's doing that directly. I should get that screen full screened. My apologies. Anyway, so we will be reviewing. Oh, sorry, I should finish my thought on Reggie. But yeah, if I was Reggie, I'd be very pissed. Even though not officially starting with GameStop, I'd be calling their upper management and be like pissed. I'd be like, dude, you guys, what are you doing? This is bad for your reputation. This is bad for as if I'm Reggie. Bad for Reggie's reputation. It's just bad for everyone involved with GameStop, period. Like, it's just bad. And yeah, so HuffPost and I guess Vice was the first one on top of it. So we'll look at the Vice articles, but I'm not a fan of Vice. They're too hit and miss these days. So there it goes. I'm not sure what was so we'll just look at this right away. They wanted people to try and dispute local law enforcement shutting them down by being like, no, here's a letter that we're an essential service. It's like, holy shit, guys, really? You're going to try and tell your employees to not actually tell cops to fuck off, but essentially tell cops to fuck off by being like, we got a letter that says we're essential, even though obviously we're not, because we just sell video games, not like we sell food or pharmaceuticals or anything people need to be alive. So yeah, this one really bothers me when corporations get out of hand like this. It's one of those things that really freaking bothers me. And it's a thing about capitalism in general. I hope I'm not getting too offside, but there's nothing about capitalism that has a built-in ethics come before profits. The mandate of capitalism is just make profit, no ethics before profits or anything. And I'm not against capitalism, don't get me wrong, but ethics need to come before profits. That seems obvious to anyone that's not ridiculous when it comes to morality. And I think capitalism needs to adapt and change to include an ethical premise where it says ethics come before profits, but do make profits. And there's nothing against making profits as long as no one comes to harm from the making of profits. And that's really the key problem with all this, because we all know the real reason that's GameStop's doing this is because they're super hurting when it comes to profits and viability in general, and they don't want to lose money on this. Well, too bad, suck it up. GameStop, you're going to lose more than money. You're going to lose your reputation, which is already pretty damn bad. So with stunts like this, I'm not even going to bother reading it. You can read it yourself. It's a short one. And yeah, it's been well talked about. And yeah, it's this is just ridiculous. They're putting their employees in harm's way for the sake of their own profits, which is unethical and personally I believe to be despicable. I've not been a fan of GameStop. EB Games here in Canada is pretty much the same company as GameStop, but at least from the locations I've been to locally and the employees I've spoken with, it does seem like however it works, whoever manages EB Games in Canada is doing better than GameStop USA. But at the end of the day, they're all really run by the same entity, and it's just different names in different countries. Even though, like, if GameStop were to go down in USA, and go down's a bad phrasing for that, but yeah, if they were to fail in USA, it'd be very likely EB Games in Canada and Australia would be bought by someone and carry on, kind of like what happens with Toys R Us. Where Toys R Us collapsed, no more Toys R Us in USA, but we still got them here in Canada because some company bought the Canadian stores and decided to keep them going. So there's still Toys R Us in Canada, just not in USA anymore. So I wouldn't be surprised if that might be where GameStop goes, just because I don't think even Reggie can save them now. I think they fuck their own reputation too much with this. This is just so bad. Like, they're literally putting their employees at risk of death due to the COVID virus. Like, it does affect elderly and young and vulnerable more, but it can still really, really do some harm to a healthy, youngish, middle, like someone my age who's actually healthy and doesn't have like a weird genetic thing going on. Yeah, COVID can still do some real damage to young, healthy people. And it's got this thing when there's other viruses that have had similar things where it causes what's called a cytokine storm, which is like your kind of immune system overreacting and doing its job too well. You actually don't want your immune system be turbocharged. They're like a lot of like immune boosting products kind of try and advertise. You don't actually want that. If your immune system works too well, it starts attacking your own body, like lupus. I think I might have been getting that mixed up with another autoimmune disease. I hope I'm remembering what lupus is properly. But there's various autoimmune diseases where your body attacks itself because your immune system's working too well, and it's identifying your own cells as foreign invaders, effectively, the simplified explanation. So that's the thing with COVID. It can trigger a cytokine storm, and your healthy immune system can actually kill you because of the cytokine storm. I'm sorry if I freaked anyone out. That's just the reality of it. And that's a large part of the reason why this is a big deal, and nothing that's not essential should be closed. Like, I wanted to get my favorite tea from Starbucks. I was like, there's no official, I don't think there's some limits on people gathering and stuff like that, but I don't think there's an outright stores that are non-essential need to close here. I don't think it's like that. I don't think it's mandated. I think more where I'm at here in Alberta, people are doing it just because it's a good idea. Because there are still some non-critical stores that are open. There are some that's closed. It's kind of a mixed bag here. But anyway, the point I'm getting to is that I'm kind of having a brain fart and forgot the point I was getting to. Oh my god, that's just terrible. I'm so sorry. Wow, my brain just went. Phew. and it's gone. And it's gone. Like, literally, the point and thought I was getting to just gone out of my brain. Brain fog's a motherfucker like that. Yeah, I was on about cytokine storms and how that can. Oh, yeah, the whole point I'm getting to is that because of stuff like the cytokine storm issue, you can't just assume healthy younger people are going to be fine. That's a big mistake to be thinking that. And the whole scenario's bad, and the stuff that they were talking about on the conference call is just ridiculous. Like, they're talking, I'll kind of go through my notes here. They're trying to talk about supplying employees with like sanitizers and supplies and stuff. And they're also talking about they don't have enough, so go buy your own. With apparently, and they're not really giving employees money to go buy their own. They're buying supplies out of their pocket, I've read quite often. And, they're talking about, oh, what if someone that we know or realize later comes into a store that is or was infected, and now that's a big problem. Do we shut down the store? No, the store doesn't get shut down. They shut it down temporarily to clean it, probably with also GameStop employees just being paid to clean it, maybe even the people working at the store. And, they weren't very clear on what would be done for that sanitization, but I doubt they'd be actually like hiring a professional service to do it, because that can be quite expensive. And basically they're like, yeah, we'll sanitize and reopen. It's like, whoa, guys, if that happens at a store, that needs to be shut down, period. All employees get sent home with pay. Like, that's just the reasonable, ethical thing to do in this kind of situation. And when it comes to government bailout kind of stuff, when it comes to these kind of situations where there's stores that need to shut down but still try that again. Stores that need to shut down but still need to pay employees, then that's where the government should be stepping in to subsidize and bail out and all that kind of stuff. Or even the government should just give people money directly, and it would be kind of cool if this actually helped us move towards a universal basic income, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Anyways, during the conference call, employees were talking about seeing traffic increases. There's a big thing with EB Games here in Canada, where EB Games has been called out for keeping stores open because they know of these traffic increases. Because, I mean, if they stay open and their competition's closed, what can they do? There's a local store here. I don't want to mention their name just because I don't want anyone getting upset at them. But, but it's a contrast to GameStop and EB Games, because it's a smaller local business. And their landlord won't give them any breaks. They have to stay open, and they don't have that corporate backing where, they've got, or they should, as a corporation of that magnitude and size, GameStop should have backup reserve funds to be able to help with these things already ready to go in case of such emergency situations, which I wouldn't be surprised if they're not really got their shit together on that. And there's a lot of talk, oh, no one's in our lifetime has ever dealt with this or any of that. That's no excuse for not being prepared. Like, with all the previous things we've had leading up to this, it's like anyone in that kind of position should have been looking at that and been like, well, we need to have some plans ready just in case that becomes a reality like it's become now. Because, like, the preceding years, we saw different other infectious agents become a big deal, but not get to this level that we've got. And, like, I mean, we all should have seen this coming to an extent. Like, I wasn't surprised when this started happening. I was like, oh, well, we kind of saw the build-up coming to it, and all these entities that aren't very prepared for it. I'm like, guys, like, we all saw this coming, or we should have. And, just in terms of biology and virology and all that stuff, it's like, you talk to a virologist and they'll be like, yeah, something like this is inevitable. It's the way they work and the way they mutate. Like, there's no stopping something like this. And the real thing is being ready for it. And apparently GameStop's not very ready for it. I should switch pages just so you have something different to look at. Like I was talking about the EB Games. Oh, I'll turn the sound off on that. Yeah, and this was before social distancing, 2-meter distances had become such a big thing. You can see some people are more grouped and crowded than others. Some people are trying to maintain the 2-meter distance. Like, only one dude I can see in this even has a mask, and apparently masks are just hard to get. The N95 masks I bought back when there was wildfires last summer, I've had so many people that, like, 2 times I've been out because I needed to get things. One time was prescription, other thing was, like, food. Like, I need to eat to be alive. and I don't have people to go do these things for me. So I was wearing my N95 mask out. I had people being like, "Where'd you get that?" I was like, "I bought it last summer when there was smoke from the wildfires." I had my pharmacist compliment me on not only wearing a mask, wearing the proper mask, and telling me she's concerned about seniors that don't have masks and aren't wearing them. Well, the pharmacist, with all respect to the pharmacist, was wearing a surgical mask or surgical type mask, which isn't even the right kind of mask to be wearing. So that was a bit of a tangent, and this will be a bit of a long video. It's, the regular flanges will be a bit on the longer side quite often. But yeah, we should move on to another note from the conference call. We're going to focus a lot on the conference call because it's where a lot of the meat of GameStop being ridiculous about this is. And dude, so much props to oh god, I'm bad with names. Camelot 331, I think. I'm just bad with names. Forgive me if I messed his name up. But I'm so thankful he managed to do that and pull that off. I'm so thankful he was able to expose how messed up GameStop is being. And good thing that one came up, because that was a point that's coming up right away here in my notes. Is the GameStop employees on that conference call directly brought up the issue, literally said, I'm not going to get the quote exact, but they said something to the effect of being forced to choose between their livelihood and their own health. And that's just a bullshit double bind to put people in. And that is a double bind. A double bind is like one of those non-choices where each choice is either, generally they're both shitty choices, but they can be other, it can be a mix of good and bad, or both two good choices to choose between. But the idea of a double bind is it's a false dichotomy of either this or that, with no middle ground, and you're forced to choose either one or the other. Typically, they're two different extremes. This is a good case, your health or your livelihood. There is middle ground here. And GameStop is forcing them to choose between their livelihood and their health. And it's bullshit. And it's a bullshit double bind, and it's unethical, and it's bad for GameStop. It's bad for the employees. It's bad for everyone, because it will spread COVID more. And there was even talk about, do we want to be the ones to be spreading COVID and that kind of stuff. And they're told they're not going to get paid for taking time off to self-isolate or be safe. If their stores close, they're not going to get paid, and that's just bullshit. They should be closing the stores, paying their employees, and going to the government and being like, government, help us out here. This is where the bailouts really actually should be happening, is when they need to pay employees, but they're shut down, so they can't. Government, that's where you're supposed to step in and do your job. Which we're not going to talk about that aspect of it, but to at least be a little bit fair to GameStop, with the government not stepping in and doing their part in this, it does kind of put them in a bit of a double bind. But that double bind therein is no excuse to be passing it on to their employees. And it is very unethical and bad leadership for them to be handling like this. GameStop, that double bind you're in because of the government's failure, that's your problem, your responsibility, and don't you pass that on to your employees. So moving on through my notes here. Oh yes, an employee who, the Camelot dude who did the video was kind of making jokes about that guy's fired, or I think it was that guy, but he made jokes about one employee's questions where he's like, oh, that guy's fired. And yeah, the guy that brought this up probably not going to be working at GameStop as a manager longer, I imagine. Maybe not, speculation, but with all the horror stories about GameStop out there, that guy probably doesn't have a job there anymore. Again, speculation, but I wouldn't be surprised if that speculation is correct. Anyways, so the thing the dude said that probably got him fired is, where are we here? Oh, I lost it. What exactly did he say? Oh yeah, okay, that's why I'm lost. I flipped ahead to the wrong page. Where is my note? I was just looking at it and I lost my note. Please bear with me here. Find my note. Where's my note? Oh yes. Mentioning people over profits, or GameStop prioritizing profits over people. Mentioning that so directly and bluntly, that guy probably is no longer a manager. I'd be very surprised if that person has a job. And if that person did lose their job, that person should be suing the fuck out of GameStop. Anyways, before they got to that, they're mentioning not a perfect world as a bullshit justification. And they also said this is fucking rich. Can't pay wages if people choose not to work. Again, we get to the double bind. It's a non-choice. Your health or your livelihood. Well, anyone in their right mind is going to choose their health, but But then paying rent, and well, this is where it really gets tricky, is if you have kids. Like I just got 2 cats. It's not that big of a deal. If I was in that position, I could deal with that easier. But if I had kids, it'd be like, I can't, I need to feed my kids. But if I go to work, I could expose my kids to COVID. Like, what kind of fucking double bind is that to put your fucking employees in GameStop? What the fuck? Like, and yeah, so profits versus people. Obviously, GameStop cares more about their profits because it took until like yesterday or today for them to actually shut down. And the thing is, yeah, so they shut down now. Too late. Damage done. Like, I am thankful they did finally shut their shit down, but they fucked up their reputation hard already. Because it's pretty clear by their actions, they do prioritize profits over people. And they can say all they want to people, but actions matter more than words. And we can see by GameStop's action what they really believe in and what their priorities really are. So here's another letter. We'll take a look at that. So yeah, this article covers a bunch of the stuff, probably from the same conference call. We will, yeah, they will not be paying during the shutdown. And yeah, there's a lot of talk about like, oh, day by day, and we're constantly having this discussion, and it's like it's just a bunch of fucking corporate bullshit. And yeah, so also in Pennsylvania, we'll touch on that soon here. Apparently, GameStop's lost its business license for the whole state, as far as I can tell. So they lost their business license for fucking Pennsylvania because the ridiculous corporate people at GameStop thought that they could get away with trying to claim their business as an essential service. Well, you lost a whole state worth of business over your being dumb, GameStop. Like, and more states should follow suit and be like, GameStop, even though you did retroactively after you caused the damage, close your stores, business license gone. Businesses that go to that extent like this need to be punished, and taking their business license away so they can't even do business in that area, I think that's great. Please, more places should do that to business, and even EB Games, where it's applicable to EB Games in Canada, pull their business licenses locally as needed when they're being ridiculous like this. So they did, too little too late, add in some like other options, but it's still too little too late and still bullshit. So effective March 22nd, at all GameStop stores that remain open, they should all be closed. We'll only offer a delivery at the door service. So it's basically a minimal contact kind of thing. And just no, mail everything. You've got an online store, GameStop. Just do it all online. Like, this is ridiculous. Well, okay, so they did, well, okay, we do have to be fair. I didn't catch this. We did catch they are turning back around and giving people paid time off. But by the sounds of it, there's going to be some bullshit, and probably not a lot of the people who should be getting it will be getting it. I would assume that speculation could be incorrect, but I would speculate that there's probably going to be a lot of employees getting shafted on that. I hope that's as good as it looks, but I wouldn't be surprised if we hear from GameStop employees that it's a pain in the ass to actually get that out of them. And and again, I am thankful that they did do this, but too little, too late still. And I don't trust them to do it properly, even though they are doing it. That's why I'm like, will the people even be able to get it that easily, or will it be like pulling teeth and a bunch of people won't ever get it? So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what winds up happening. So, we are going to sidetrack from the notes about the conference call, just so we can finish touching on this. Yeah, so this is, I don't know why it's not scrolling on me. Yeah, it won't let me scroll, that's weird. Oh, there we go, that was weird. Yeah, yeah. Their operating permit license is established, or is revoked, or suspended until further notice. Like, do not enter the location. So I do wonder if this could actually be potentially related to, there was the one location that talked about in the like in the conference call, they talked about a location where it had happened, if I'm remembering correctly. That should be in my notes. Just I swear someone mentioned it did happen with their location, and I would have taken a note over that. Okay, maybe I'm getting mixed up with something that happened somewhere else. Okay, I can't find my note for it, so I won't commit to that. But I do wonder if this could even be potentially. Well, actually, no. Let's look at the date. That's last Friday when Animal Crossing came out. Yeah. Okay. Because it's just, I was having a second thought that maybe it was because someone was infected at the store. They realized and they're like, okay, we're shutting down because of the whole proper protective attire. But that's actually just a good precaution when you feel like they've been too frivolous about letting people in and being open when they shouldn't be. So yeah. Anyways, let's move on. Anyways, it's interesting seeing the actual notice that they got their license at least temporarily suspended. And this is what, today's the 23rd, so yeah, that's yesterday. So they did finally close everything up yesterday. Again, too little, too late. They should have been closed for the Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing launch. They should have just shut every store down, and if anything, had a very, like, a volunteer or two stay at the store with like proper PPE, personal protective equipment, which at least in Alberta, I'm actually not sure if it's Canada wide, at least in Alberta, you have the right to refuse unsafe work. Oh, shit. I just had a thought. In Alberta, if you're at a location that's staying open that's not actually justified, you can legally, and they can't fuck with you. They would get their asses sued if they tried to fire you over this, at least in Alberta. If you use the right to refuse unsafe work, to refuse work that could expose you to COVID, and then they fire you, ooh, they're just giving you money and the lawyer money. The whatever lawyer represents you, probably pro bono, is probably like, ooh, I'll do this pro bono because that's a lot of money. Like one of those. Yeah, sorry, I just had that thought, and I was like, well, at least here in Alberta, people can use their right to refuse. I'm not sure if it's Canada-wide. It might be just Alberta because of some crazy oil field stories that happened just before my time in the oil field, but that's not what we're here to talk about. But yeah, while we're looking at this one, let's play the video without sound just so there's something moving there. Let's go back to these notes. Yeah, we're on the front side. Yeah, so after the people over profits and like all the not a perfect world bullshit and the whole can't pay people choosing not to work fucking bullshit, like that's not a choice. Like that's a double bind. It's a non-choice. Like sure it's technically a choice, but you know, it's a bullshit choice. That's what a double bind essentially means, is it's a bullshit choice between two extremes that doesn't actually add up or make sense, especially when there's an obvious middle ground. Like it's a complete false dichotomy that they're forcing on their employees, or used to be forcing upon their employees, and never should have in the first place. No, what was I actually going to get to here? Oh yes, they actually mentioned social media backlash. They mentioned specifically some very strong comments on posts on Facebook, and the nature of those comments was very negative, and they mentioned that directly and that kind of thing. And I got the feeling they're really trying to do their best to talk some sense into these people and like be like, hey, do you guys realize how bad it is? As much as they could, you know, do that without pissing off their bosses too much. Which, oh, apparently we're all the way at the beginning. Um, what? We'll leave it on this one for now. Yeah. So yeah, it was interesting because at that point I really got the sense they were trying to talk some sense into the corporate people that were being ridiculous on the call. There's one person in particular I was just like, whoa, yeah, because yeah, you don't really get voices; you can just recognize by names. And the Camelot dude who's recording it points out which voice is corporate people, so you don't get mixed up. So it's like there's one specific corporate voice was just like, wow, that person. And yeah, so it's like they damn well know about the backlash on social media and everything, or at least they should. So you think just that alone, like someone even mentioned specifically like this tarnishing GameStop's reputation specifically. And you know, like individual store level managers shouldn't have to tell corporate management these things. These are the things corporate management should be fucking 5 steps ahead of anyone at a regular store management level. Like, as just a consumer, we shouldn't be sitting here being like, well, we know exactly what you should have done better than you, GameStop. Like, they're supposed to know better. They're supposed to do better. They're supposed to be better. Otherwise, like, how in the hell did they even get in this position other than through some bullshit of some sort? So, there's just this bigger picture thing that it leaves me with an impression of is like, how the fuck do these people even get to run these businesses when they run them so dumbly? Like, it just seems so obvious to like anyone that's objective and has half a brain that GameStop was just straight up fucking up and just ruining their reputation at a critical time where they need to regain their reputation. Like, for GameStop specifically, this is the worst time for them to do something this dumb. Their reputation is in the, like, lower than down the drain. It's gone through the U-trap and it's in the fucking sewage system, their reputation. And now it can't even get to sewage processing because it's too fucking toxic. They gotta fish that reputation out and be like, what do we even do with this? We can't let this go through fucking sewage processing. That's how bad their reputation is. And for them to just make it worse at such a critical moment, when, especially after they pulled Reggie in to get everyone to be like, oh shit, I think they can figure their shit out now. Well, Reggie's a little bit too late. They should have had him coming in right away, because just by the actions of Reggie, it seems like he's the kind of person that would be like, no, you guys are fucking up. You guys need to not do this. And I would hope, I don't know Reggie personally. I'm only going off of what we've seen, which, doesn't really tell us who he is for real. Like, if he showed up on a 3-hour-long Joe Rogan Experience podcast, that would be fascinating to really, actually get to know Reggie a bit there. But, Reggie's previous actions, it makes it look like he's the kind of person to, actually do something good about this. But I don't like, if we're going to get to kind of the point of this all, I don't think Reggie can rescue this. I think before all this happened, Reggie could have rescued it, but I think at this point, GameStop might have fucked themselves so hard with this, it's unsalvageable. I think this may have been the straw that broke the camel's back when it comes to what people think of GameStop, and I think GameStop, man, if they are able to be rescued from their own selves by Reggie and the new people they hired for their board, it is going to be a lot of work, and it is going to be fucking tough to pull off. But anyways, let's finish up these notes quick. We're running a bit later than I did intend to, because there's just a lot to say about this, and I was kind of waiting for this to be a bit more resolved before doing any videos on it. And I think at this point it's a good time to be doing a video like this. And if there's any updates, I'll do a quick Flange to update it. Anyways, yeah, they pretty much lied a whole bunch too, or at least in my perception, I'd say they lied a whole bunch. Like, they pretty much lied about some of the government statements concerning this, and like they really bullshitted their employees, in my opinion, on that. And they're talking the shit like, oh, you can catch it anywheres, which is literally true, but the way they're talking is like to dismiss their concerns and fears and be like, oh, well, if you can get it anywheres, then you might as well just come into work. It's like, no, the whole point of everything we're doing right now is to minimize the transition. And it was crazy. I actually made this note on the other page, but one of the employees actually mentioned where I'm at here, Calgary. I don't mention it too much, but I live in Calgary, and if you look, there's a map that shows the infections of COVID, the known infections, at least in Alberta. Calgary has, by a ridiculous amount, has the most infections, because there's some gathering where someone was infected, didn't know, and passed it on to a bunch of people and just kind of spiraled out from there. And that's why I think the last I looked, I think it was over 100. And Calgary's a big city and it's a big area, but still, that's not good. And it makes me worried just wandering around who might have caught it, because it can be asymptomatic. Who might have caught it and be wandering around, not even realize they have it? Because please correct me in the comments if I'm incorrect, but I do remember credible sources talking about COVID having an element of what's the word, asymptomatic cases where you don't show any symptoms but you can still transmit the virus to others. So there's the potential for people to be asymptomatic carriers and have no idea they're infected, which is why testing's so important, which that we're not here to talk about. But without testing, that should be happening. Like that's why we need to self-isolate, is because we kind of blew our chance to test and be that level of preventative. We like North America kind of fucked that up by being a bit slow about it and not handling it very preemptively. Anyways, the whole point of that little spiel is that, yeah, the whole idea, oh, you can catch it anywheres, and and yeah, just all the bullshit. Like, watch the video, the conference call video yourself. It's like, there's a reason I'm not playing it. Please watch it yourself. Like, you really need to watch that video yourself to get a full grasp of how bad it is. Like, yeah. Um, so yeah, it's like it's bad. It's harmful. GameStop is causing harm to others by doing this, and like we saw the lineups. Like, let's go back to the lineups. Where's the lineups? Where's the lineups? There's the lineups. Oh no, no, no! I want lineups. No, actually, I don't want lineups. There we go. We'll play this again. Yeah, look at that. Like, here, we'll full screen that shit. It's all shitty resolution, but whatever. But look at that. Even though the resolution's mediocre, like all what it takes is one asymptomatic person. And I do apologize. I don't mean to get anyone freaked out. This is just a reality, and it's something. This is what the reality why we have to social distance and do all this stuff. What's it doing here now? Yeah, weird. Anyways, oh no, 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 go away, volume. No, 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 volume, get echoey. Anyways, so where was I before that got all glitchy? Yeah, so if just one person in that lineup is an asymptomatic carrier, like, how many people get infected because of that? That's why GameStop needs to close. It should have been closed, and it's ridiculous. And they tried this thing on Thursday where they figured, oh, we'd released Doom Eternal early to try and minimize infections instead of just mailing it to people on time. And so it was ridiculous, because out of their misguided effort to try and prevent infections, they just created the situation where a bunch of people had motivation to go get the game early, to play a day early. If they were buying it physically on console, it wouldn't work for PC because Bethesda was being ridiculous, but that we're not talking about that. But the point is, they actually made it worse by doing that. Now they spread the crowds out over 2 days, and they also did it in such a way that would give people motivation to go there early. And then they started also doing Animal Crossing early on the 19th, which just gave people even more reason to show up early. And it's like, you guys are supposed to not be having crowds and lineups right now. That's actually the exact fucking opposite of what you should be doing. GameStop, fucking mail it to your customers and eat the cost. Then go hit up the government for compensation. That's how it should work. Anyways, so this does really quite bother me. This kind of ethical concern really bothers me. So if I'm a little bit excited, that's why. When it comes to this level of ethics, and especially with businesses being like, oh, our profits come before ethics, it's like, really bothers me. So please forgive me if I am getting a little bit emotional on this topic or a little bit excited. It's hard not to when it's something that's just so despicable. This is a good one. So I'll try and rush through these notes quickly here. Oh yeah, so a point to touch on is it was Camelot's commentary, but this thing where it's like they're kind of acting like the virus takes a weekend off, so they're like, oh, take a day off and come in for the weekend, or I can't remember the details, but it's just like this whole thing where it's like, oh, they can come in for the weekend instead. It's like, the fuck? What? That doesn't make any sense. Especially when we're got, a weekend release day rush going on for 2 hype games at the same time. Yeah, yeah. And it's like, my thought on that is just offer to mail it to people. Be like, here, we're going to, or don't even offer, just be like, we're mailing your game because of COVID. You don't gotta pay nothing. It's showing up on time. Might cost some money and effort, but hit up the government to recover those expenses, because that's what the government should be here for. And when it comes to bailing companies out, that's when they should be doing it. Anyways, yeah, and there's I forget what exactly sparked it. I didn't take a full enough note. There's this comment of we're not their boss, you are, and I think it was about employees at the store, and it's like, well, actually, you are their boss. You're the fucking leaders of this shit. Be a fucking leader. Own your shit. And it's just that alone just shows how bad the GameStop leadership is because they're not fucking leaders. Leaders own their leadership, which means they don't tell other people, oh no, you're the leader, you handle it. They handle it and they be the leader, and they're like, okay, this is how you handle it. And they pass the leadership on down in the like, okay, we're going to inform you how to deal with this responsibly, which they haven't done at all. And that one really got me because working Seismic and everything I've done, I was in a leadership role a lot doing Seismic. I was crew leader a lot before as troubleshooter, and even as troubleshooter you often wind up being crew leader a lot because there's troubleshooters that have more seniority than you and stuff, so they get the quad before you get the quad and stuff like that, so you wind up doing crew leader again even though you should be troubleshooting. And that's just the way it goes sometimes because you can just bounce between different crews that have different established hierarchies and stuff. So if you enter a new crew that has an established hierarchy, you might not wind up troubleshooting or shooting, you might wind up crew leader until like someone goes on time off or something and you get a chance to prove yourself to that crew. Anyways, that aside, the whole idea I'm getting at is I've been a leader enough, and I wasn't always that good at it, especially when I was new at it, but I've learned a lot through my mistakes, and I've learned you fucking own your shit. You don't be like, no, that's someone else's problem. Oh, no, you're the leader. No, GameStop corporate motherfuckers, you're the leaders. You need to lead. You need to take charge of this. And they're fucking not. And that's a problem. And that's actually probably the core of why GameStop's fucked. And that's actually the core of why Reggie may not be able to save them. Because if they can't own their own shit, and Reggie's the only one that shows up and he's like, well, you need to be an actual leader here. Because definitely we can tell Reggie knows how to be a leader. And that might cause some friction, and I don't think he can save it if they're not willing to own their actions, own their leadership, and actually be leaders. And I should probably just end on that, but there are a couple key points. They said they don't want to come across as fake. Oh, I can't roll my eyes enough for that one. Like, oh, really, guys? You don't want to come across as fake? Way too fucking late for that, GameStop corporate management. And I'm specific to the corporate management because once you get below that level, it's, just people like us, generally. And this whole idea of, they said leading through empathy, it's like, dude, if you motherfuckers were leading through empathy, all the GameStops would have been shut down and you would have been mailing stuff to all the fucking customers. That would have been leading through empathy. So shut the fuck up with your leading through empathy bullshit, motherfuckers. Sorry, I can't help it. That's just too much. That's like, really, guys, really? You want to talk shit leading through empathy while you're exposing your employees to potential death through the COVID virus? Like, no, you're not leading through empathy, corporate GameStop assholes. You're doing the exact fucking opposite. You're leading through profits. Anyways, so where's something else I can be all upset about here? I'm joking, obviously. So yeah, this definitely went much longer than I thought it would, but there's just too much to talk about here. Yeah, I just made a note about the general cognitive dissonance of the GameStop corporate management. Like, they really just don't seem to get it. They got some serious cognitive dissonance going on. Like, they are just disconnected. It's fascinating. They just straight up lied when they're saying they're not staying. Someone asked them, are they staying open to save money? And they straight up lied and denied it. And we all fucking know. Like, come on, guys. Like, don't fucking lie to us. Like, don't treat us like that. We're that fucking stupid. I know if I was that person that asked that question, obviously I'm not, but if I was that person that asked that question, I'd quit getting that answer. I'd be like, I'm done with GameStop. I quit. Fuck you guys. Sorry for swearing so much, but it's hard not to when this is like such a upsetting topic where it's like, dude, like, GameStop could be causing deaths by doing this. Like, I don't mean to be engaging in hyperbole or exaggerating, but very truly, GameStop could be directly or indirectly be responsible for the death of customers and or employees who die from COVID that might have been able to avoid infection if they had closed their stores sooner and handled this whole situation more responsibly. Like, it's very serious. Like, that's why I'm so upset. This is very serious. Like, these are people's lives and health. Like, you don't play we need our profits games with this shit. And, Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of bullshit. Just to finish up my notes here, there's a bunch of bullshit where they're saying, "Oh, you can't control it" and all this, and it's like, well, that's why you need to close the stores, motherfuckers, because you can't control certain things. Yeah, that's where I made. This is where I made the note about the employee mentioning this tarnishes GameStop's reputation and trying to get that idea into their heads. Um, what else? Oh yeah, the mentioning of close quarters and the specific mentioning of Calgary. Oh yes, it's something that it's like as a person on the autism spectrum, I'm not always the best at noticing some of these things, especially over phone where voice can get distorted. And when it comes to body language and reading people, I do rely a lot on facial expressions more than tone of voice, I have to admit. So I didn't always quite catch it until he pointed it out, and then I started noticing it just because I just wasn't really paying attention for it. Just it's an autism thing. You just don't notice these things like regular people do. Sometimes it just takes some extra effort. Anyways, so I realized I need to put that extra effort in. I did, and then I started realizing, yeah, a lot of these people, they sound like they're on the verge of tears. They sound like you can hear the fear in the voice if you listen for it. Like there's fear in their voices. Not all of them. Some of them sound like they wanted to cry. Like at points, it could be rough listening to it. Once I realized I need to listen for people's tone of voice that way, I was like, oh no! Like people are really scared about this. Like truly fearful and like leading through empathy. My ass. Like bullshit. They're leading through empathy. GameStop corporate is fucking. Reggie needs to fucking sit him down and be like, you guys have no idea what you're fucking talking about. Like I said, if I was Reggie, I'd witness all this and be like, "Yeah, I'm out. I don't want to be associated with GameStop." That would be me. Like literally, I'd just be like, "No, bye now. Fuck you, GameStop." But I'm not Reggie, and actually, I kind of hope Reggie does that. And I've never thought I'd say this, but after this, I kind of might think GameStop should fail and something should show up and take its place. Because if GameStop's going to behave this way, why are we doing still on the scene? Anyways, if GameStop's going to behave this way, do they deserve to be in business? Like, I don't think they even deserve to be a business if they're going to be this shitty. And there's other businesses that statement might apply to because of trying to stay open during COVID. And I do have to be specific, that doesn't apply to small businesses that feel like they're in their own double bind where they're not getting support corporations are and they're not getting rent breaks from their landlords. It's like I mentioned the one small local video game business that is staying open, but it's a completely different situation with them. Like they'll lose their business if they don't. And GameStop's not in that position, or at least not in the same way. I guess that's the thing. GameStop could close everything, deal with it, acquire some more corporate debt, I'm sure, or like they can deal with it. Sorry about that. They can deal with it in ways a small business can't. And when it comes to the relief being given, that needs to be also directed more towards small businesses that have a harder time dealing with this, and less towards big corporations that have an easier time dealing with this. So as much as I'm saying, yeah, GameStop should hit up the government for help with this, the government should be helping like really helping out small businesses when it comes to this stuff. Let's finish with the notes here. Okay, yeah. So one last butchered quote, trying to make the right decision, but so complex. They want to do the right thing, but okay, yeah. The second part's my part. So it's like, like they're saying they want to do the right thing, but they're doing the wrong thing. So what the fuck's with this? Them trying to say they're trying to make the right decision, but it's so complex. It's actually not that complex. That's a justification. It's not that complex. It's actually pretty simple. Close your shit, pay your employees, hit the government up. It's pretty simple. And that's what the government should be there for. Yeah, and just one last thought I put down in my notes is like, how legally responsible can GameStop be held for all this? Like, I kind of touched on this earlier, I think. But if you've managed to hang on for this goddamn almost hour-long video, it did not intend to be this long. And it's a pain in the ass to re-record this 20 times trying to get the time down. So we're going to stick with the long video, sorry. But yeah, when it comes to legal liability, I wouldn't be surprised if someone sues GameStop. I wouldn't be surprised if GameStop gets in some serious legal trouble over this, and I wouldn't be surprised if GameStop might even be held liable for a death. All speculation, of course, but I wouldn't be surprised. I don't want it to happen. I don't want someone to die and GameStop to be liable for it, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, and it'd be really shitty and really fucking unfortunate if it did, and I hope it doesn't. But if it does, I won't be surprised. I'll still be very pissed at GameStop for being that irresponsible to cost a person their life that never should have happened. But and this is a weird thing to say, and it's one of those things where it's like I'm worried I might get misread in how I'm saying it, so forgive me if I kind of stumble over it. But I do wonder if, even though we're going to have a bunch of shittiness because of this, it might result in some positive changes in the long run. For example, I mentioned universal basic income. This might help people realize actually that it's a good thing and it can be helpful just for things like this. And just, people mentioned with the flu in general, why the hell are we letting people go to work with the flu? Why aren't we more responsible about that in the first place? Because the flu kills a lot of fucking people. We just don't take it that seriously because it's been around forever. Like, I don't even know when the first flu was. Like, the influenza virus has been a thing as long as people can remember, as far as I know. So, it's just something we've always lived with. But this is new, so we perceive it differently, even though it's actually, we should have been this responsible about the flu in the first place in a lot of ways. Anyways, point is, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some big picture long-term changes in how we deal with some things, because it's going to be revealed how fucked up some of our systems are, and that, people can't get paid sick leave when it's actually really important to. And, all this money gets funneled to corporations that don't really need it, can survive without it, and can just take the hit. But, the government's not giving any money to people like you or me who are struggling directly because of this. Well, maybe not myself so much because I'm working from home, but just the general idea that people at our level, just everyday people, need the bailouts. Like I said literally in a social media post, why is governments bailing out corporations when we need the bailouts? Like, we should be getting the bailouts. Fuck off bailing out corporations. Like, so stuff like that might change in the positive. And to get from big picture to the actual topic, with GameStop, maybe I'm hoping, like, trying to, like, trying to be glass half full. I'm hoping, even out of all this shittiness, this might help wake GameStop up as an entity. Like, at least its board and the people who are at the top end make the decisions, how fucked up their management is, and how they need to just, all their corporate level of management, I'd say get rid of them all, start fresh, because there's a fucked up corporate culture going on there. And um it can change slowly with Reggie and the other new people doing it from top to bottom, but it'd be a lot faster if they just wiped, I guess an appropriate metaphor, they just cleansed the infection of bad management at GameStop and just started fresh. I think that could really benefit GameStop, because the people that are making these decisions and being these managers at the corporate level, holy fuck, I would love to have some in-person conversations where I'm like, you guys really understand what you're doing here and how bad it is. And I think those would be some very, very interesting conversations if I was ever able to have them. I mean, pure speculation, probably never going to happen. But, if I ever got a chance, I'd love to talk to some of these GameStop corporate people and be like, explain to me your fucking rationality and decision making and be honest about it. And I think if we got the honest answer, it'd be like, yeah, we're afraid we're going to die as a business, and we're afraid we're going to lose too much money and it's going to kill us. And it's like, well, you guys killed your reputation, so you ain't got much business without a fucking reputation. Yeah. So, yeah, this video went way the fuck longer on than I thought of. I thought this would have been 30, maybe 40 minutes at most. I didn't think I'd wind up ranting on for a full fucking hour. So, I guess my apologies for going on way longer than I thought. Yeah, it's a lot to talk about, and it's a lot going on, and I kind of saved up a lot to talk about for one video, which wound up being a long video. So maybe I should consider doing this in a manner that breaks it up into smaller chunks when it's a big topic like this. So yeah, thanks for watching the full hour-long video. If you've hung in this far, I know it's a long one. I'm a fan of long-form content myself, but this was a lot longer than I thought it would be. So thank you if you've made it to the end. Much appreciated. I'm going to spare you all the trying to show myself and telling you to subscribe and all that, because this video went on way too fucking long. Way too fucking long. So yeah, the links for all that stuff, it's in the description. You know where it is. Yeah, my birthday coming up on Friday, so super extra appreciated if you could support him. Toxicus Gaming, thank you. Anyways, yeah, I think that about covers everything. Thanks for watching. Thanks for flanging. Oh yeah, more Doom Eternal this evening sometime. Not sure when I'm going to start. I was thinking 2:30, but I still kind of got some more work to do. So I don't know. Just keep an eye out on the stream for when I'm starting with the Doom Eternal. Should finish the game today. And yeah, Doom Eternal, fucking great. If you haven't picked, oh excuse me, if you haven't picked it up, don't pick it up in person. Get digital delivery or order it online. Don't go anywhere in person, just to be safe. And don't go to an EB Games or GameStop. Just don't support them. Like I would have got my Doom Eternal Collector's Edition from not an EB Games at this point if I had an option. But yeah, yeah, I should wrap this up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for flanging. Thanks for remembering to bring a towel. And as always, have a good one while I get all fumbly for that outro as always. Oh.